All right, let's test our volume. We got volume. We got people. I see you, Gregory. How you doing, buddy? And just checking myself out. I had to take my shirt off real quick to put this mic on. And I always have this habit of not checking to see if I'm put back together again. So I'm put back together again. Let's put on the automatic cameras. Where are they? Down here. There we go. We'll start right there. Hey, it's Friday. It took a whole freaking week to get back to Friday. And Gregg is in here and he's saying, hey, Peter, how are you? I'm doing good. How are you doing? Well, it's a little cooler outside, but believe it or not, I'm running the air conditioner in here. And the reason is that I let the house get hot. I made some bread today, and the oven was on all day. I made my cafe, iced coffee. That's something new I got introduced to. So Gregg is saying, hi, Peter. Hi, Gregg. Love you. Thank you for being in here. I so do's appreciate you. When I ask and I'm telling him about the weather, it's because he's down here also, South Florida. I don't know exactly which city, but it doesn't matter. It's one big mess. You can't get out of traffic if you tried. Let's see. Yeah, that's in the right spot. And Patty's in here. How you doing, Patty? Maybe it'll help me to relax. How you doing, Patty? I didn't think of you till now, but you're looking so pretty. And thanks for coming in and saying hi. When I say I didn't think of you, in my mind I went, oops, what did I do? I think of all of you, actually all year long. Well, Patty, that wasn't the best song to whip out, but I just ran out of the shower. I made myself a cup of iced coffee because I knew Roy was going to come in eventually and I could brag and tell him, ha, Roy, I got me a iced coffee, and that gets him all riled up. So I was up on the ladder. Oh, let's check something out real quick. I was up on the ladder because I changed the Nikon that's on the ceiling. That one right there, okay? I changed it from full frame to crop frame. So now it's got a 1.5 crop. And the reason I did this is if you were here Wednesday, this is Friday. All right, so it does look a little dark to me, but let's see how the menu looks. So let's turn the camera on, take the lens cap off. This is the new 40, okay? What an amazing lens. All right, so let's turn that on. And then if I go over here, I was trying to show you guys the menu like that. And when I played it back, it was still too far away. So I just changed it to the crop. And now let's see. All right, so that's full zoom. Let's see if it's focusing. Yeah, my fingers are in focus. Okay. So this is the 85 millimeter in the 1.5 crop mode, and that's as wide as I can get now from the overhead camera. Now if I zoom it, I can zoom it like all the way over, and then if I wanted to show you something, like what was I trying to show you? I was trying to show you not that, and I don't want that setting. I want that setting. Uh-oh. Let's see what I'm in. All right, I'm in the movie setting. So to go back to where I was, I like to use HAVCHS, which is the top one. I have to use this because my finger keeps getting in the way. Okay, and that allows me to use H.265. All right, so it was, where the heck was it? If it was down there, no, Peter don't want that. All right, so you got the 4K, which is that one right there, and then the next one. And then the third one down is HD. So this is the A7 IV, okay? It would help to know what camera we're talking about. And then we have 4K I, and let's see, that's in the SAXA, 4K and HD in the all I mode. Okay, now that's probably the best you're going to get because you'll be recording in all I. All I means it's recording every frame and not one every third frames. It does a routine. All right, so that's what all I does. And you could do all I in HD, and that will give you 1080p basically. You could do it in 4K, which will give you the full 4K. Okay, so I'm hoping by turning on the crop mode that we're doing better here. Now, what I like to use is full frame H.265. Okay, and then you can go full frame H.264, which would be that one that we're looking at right now. All right, so this would be a better picture with a smaller file, H.265. Now, on this camera, it will do H.265, and it will do it in 10-bit. So I think 10-bit is key. I like 10-bit. The file feels like when I make my smoothie and it just feels too thin and needs to be thickened up because it tastes more like water than it tastes like a McDonald's milkshake. Okay. Cheers. Okay, so here we go. Now, so the 8-bit is too thin of a file. Okay, so let's set that in. Now I know what that looks like, and let's come back over here. All right, guys, we got to, where did we get to? We got to Patty. I just sang her a song. Randy, are you going to fall asleep on me, buddy, or are you awake for the next hour? He's got avatars in there. And we got Mark from Chicago. Hi, Mark. How's it going, Peter? It went back to 30 degrees over here. Good thing I have some wine to keep me warm. A bottle of wine. Whatever. Okay. So, what's the title of our show tonight? We are on, I think we're doing the ZR, which is going to come up in, you could see 11, 10, on the bottom right. Look at the bottom right. It's counting down the seconds. So in 2 seconds, we'll be going from this camera over to this camera. Now, this is the Nikon ZR. 4K. I have a Zeiss planar asterisk or star T on here at f1.4, and that's what we're looking at on the Nikon ZR. I do have a 50 millimeter 1.4 on its way here. I don't know when it's going to get here, but it's on its way. But this guy is top of the line. Okay, it's the Zeiss. So on the ZR, I could tell you right off the bat, I've been through the profiles. So you know what a profile is? Let's make sure the singing part is off. So the profile is the way it interprets color. Okay, so you have the standard profile. The standard profile is where Nikon will take all the engineers, put them on that profile, and come out with the best that the camera has to offer. That's called the standard profile. Now, some people feel that they're not being artsy enough by using the standard profile. I use the standard profile all the time. Okay. Now you could start shifting colors. You can go, they have a flat mode. They have a neutral mode. They have a portrait mode. Okay. So each one of those will take the standard, which is the basic foundation, and start shifting things around. And that's something that you should be able to do on your own. Okay. However, I understand the convenience and I use it. Okay. Myself, if I want to go a landscape mode, I know I'm going to be punching the greens. Now, I'm not in the landscape mode now. All right. I'm actually in the standard profile. So when I pop a camera into the standard profile, let's see, maybe I could show you on another camera right quick. Okay, so now this is A7 Mark V. Let's turn it on. Okay, let's go into the menu. Let's put my hand over here. This way it'll focus. All right, so I'm in the movie mode. All right, so that's good. This is for me both for movie and for pictures. Now, this doesn't mean it's written in stone. Let's straighten the camera out. Okay, this doesn't mean it's set in stone. It means this is what I do. Okay, now I'll come over because I kind of know the menus a little bit here. I'll come down to where you have the compensation, the plus and the minus. I'll come over. It goes from, on this camera, and it goes from left to right. Nikon works the same way, by the way. So the ZR would very much look similar, different icons because the things are in different spots. Now, I can't show you the Nikon right now. I'm broadcasting with it. I'm broadcasting live in 4K, and I have the Nikon ZR in the loop. All right. So I'm going to come down to number 5. You see where it says color tone? So this is the Sony A7 Mark V. All right. So if you're the kind of guy that's really, really uptight because you play cameras like you play your sports, that's not the way I do it. I have a Sony in here. I have 2 Sonys in here. I have 2 Nikons in here. I have a Lumix in here. I have an Olympus in here all right now. Okay. And in the kitchen, I have a Panasonic GH5, an old one, and a ZFC. Okay, so I have a variety of cameras, so I don't want to have that play where oh, Sony sucks, oh, Canon can't build a good camera. We don't do that here. Okay, just so you know. I like all cameras. I like cameras. Okay, I like photography, but I like cameras. All right, so now let's go back over here. Let's go into the menu. Color tone, let's use the the pen. All right, then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to come down to, they call it the creative look. They have picture profiles and creative look. Now, I know the Nikon menu pretty well, so actually your profiles would be right off the bat, and you would have the ability on Nikon to turn on and go into the into your logs, okay, which would include on the ZR. The R stands for red, so the Nikon ZR has a profile in it that the Sonys do not, the Canons do not, the Fujis do not. Nobody does, except for the red cameras. They have the red profile. All right, so I'm going to go in the standard profile, okay, and then I'm going to go in through the settings. So on the contrast, I normally would actually, now you see where the arrow is right there? I would bring it down about halfway between neutral and the bottom. That's my opening round, okay? And see it says -5 here? Then I go to highlights. Now, if you don't know how to use highlights and shadows, don't play with it. But the highlights and shadows I wish they would put a midtones. Okay, Lumix does the same thing, highlights and shadows. All right, it's the midtones that I'm trying to change. So the only way I can raise the midtones is by lowering the shadows and lowering the highlights. Okay, -3, -3. So if I lowered this, what is the untouched area? The untouched area is the midtones. So why am I so much into the midtones? Well, I'll tell you exactly why I'm so much into the midtones. Because the face, the skin, is where the midtones are. All right? That's where you want to make and address the camera, is on the midtones. Because as you get older, like I'm getting older, the skin deteriorates. I get age spots and stuff like that. Well, I fix that by raising the midtones. Now, I've done that on this camera. It does not have, this is the, which one? Look at top right. The Lumix, the Panasonic S5 Mark II. Okay. And I have their 50 millimeter, can I read it? Yeah, 50 millimeter lens on there, and I have it set to 1.8. So in order to address the midtones on a lot of cameras, I have to lower the highlights and the shadows. That will automatically make the whole overall picture look darker, and then I have to raise it up by 1 ISO or change something because I want to boost the midtones. Okay, so that's how you do that. You gotta know how to do workarounds. So let's get back over here into the overhead. Let's wake this guy up. Okay. And it already took me out. So we'll go back into the menu, creative look. Okay. So we made it, contrast is down. So I do this when I get any new camera. Contrast down at least halfway. And then I do my test shots. And if I need more contrast, I raise it up. If I need less contrast, I'll take it lower. All right. And I just explained what the highlights and the shadows do. All right. Now fade will allow me to take all these settings and punch them up or lower them down. Okay. So I don't even bother with the fade. I go in and I go straight from the camera. None of this trickery. All right. Now saturation, right off the bat, I do the same thing with saturation that I do with the contrast. This is the contrast over here. Okay. So I will lower the saturation by 5. Now this is not written in stone. That doesn't mean I have to live forever and ever and ever with a contrast halfway between 0 and they give you 0 to -9. But that's my starting point. And the reason for the starting point is just like when you go into Best Buy to look at all the televisions on the wall, they're usually all punched up, over saturated, over colorized, because that's the way they need the sales floor to look. It needs to look like the picture's going to pop out and bite you. Okay, so I lower the saturation. All right, sharpness, by far one of the most critical things, and I will lower the sharpness all the way down to its lowest level. Hold on, keep your pantyhose on, don't jump the gun. Okay, I will lower the sharpness all the way down, and then I will come up 3 clicks. Okay, so I've done this so often, and this will wind up at the -2. All right, and then clarity, I always clarity is, it's an odd creature. Okay, so I'm going to test this one. I'm going to leave it at the flat. All right, and I'll explain what clarity does in a moment, and then I'll push OK, and it will have saved all those. So I would say this looks better than it did Wednesday night. I can even read it here, which is hard for me to read. Okay, so I'm assuming you guys can read it better also. It's either that or I'm going to have to put in an HDMI cable directly into the camera. And now it looks like I'm sitting a little bit too low on this camera. I swear, somebody's coming in here in the middle of the night and just changing this around. Okay, so I always like about an inch from the top of my head. That's the professional photographer in me. Okay, and everything else on my settings for Ecamm is flat. So that's how I set up a camera. Now I'll let this one, it's going to go to sleep on its own. Let's see how much battery I got left on here. 83%. So we're good. All right, so Nikon ZR 4K. Now I did everything I just showed you on this Nikon ZR. Contrast. Okay. It does have a setting for skin smoothing or skin softness, and it also has a clarity. Okay, so what clarity does is it raises and lowers the contrast. Listen, this is key. It raises and lowers the contrast, but only in the midtones. It doesn't bother with the highlights, and it doesn't bother with the lowlights, with the shadows. Okay. So if you want all of it up or down, you just use your contrast setting. Okay. So the interesting thing is with clarity, you can go plus and you can go minus. Now, when you go minus in the contrast on the skin tones, you're effectively doing skin smoothing, because I don't want the pores, the pimples, my old age marks to get really, really sharp and really overdone. So I lower down the clarity. But a lot of you guys are running cameras that are not the newest and the bluest, okay? So you don't have that clarity slider. So if you don't have that clarity slider, you have to learn how to do some kind of workarounds. And you have to look and see if it's got highlights and shadows, because you lower those down, and that automatically raises your midtones, and then your picture is darker. Okay, so let's go over to the ZR real quick so I can play around and show you. Now, if I had more than one ZR here, like some people do, I'm not going to name any names. Who do you know? Okay, I'm not at the top of the screen again, but we'll get there. Okay. All right. So now, while I'm in here, all right, watch the brightness and the shadows. Okay. Now I'll reset it. Okay. So that's the normal setting. Now that was not contrast, that was gamma. I use gamma like I would use contrast. So if I wanted to raise up, and let's say you don't have that ability, if I wanted to raise up the midtones here, which I don't really want to because it's already got, I have the skin smoothing on low on this one, and I have the clarity. Where do I have the clarity? I would have it down if I had that opportunity. So watch me raise, okay, the middles, and then I'll bring it back into balance by bringing down the brightness. So now what I've effectively done, okay, is I've kept the same setting, but I raised up the brightness, the gamma, all right, so it raised everything up. Okay, watch. This is gamma full blast. Christmas tree, plants, everything in the background, my shirt, it's all raised up. So if I bring it back into way I have it, I reset it. All right, so this is straight out of the camera. So I have the camera set the way I want. And if you don't like it, you don't like my settings. As simple as that. But these are my settings, okay? So where did I reset it. So this is straight out of the camera. Now, I'll do that demonstration over again. I'm going to raise up the midtones by lowering the gamma, okay? It's the camera world, all right? So just settle down, all right? And then the whole thing is too bright, but my face is just nice. So I'm going to take and lower down the brightness a little bit. Okay, so this is the brightness way down. I'm overdoing it just so you can see what's happening. Okay, this is back to normal. Peter, don't touch anything. We are normal. Okay, so because I raised the gamma, I'm going to lower it down. So now I've raised, in effect, I have raised the skin tone levels and lowered the shirt, the plant, the trees in the back. Okay, everything else is brought back down. Okay, now I'll reset it, and this is the way I have it set in the camera. So if you noticed when I just reset it, the face even punched a little bit more. So that's kind of proving to you that I did these settings in the camera. All right, so I can't undo them, so I had to start from where I'm working at now. Okay, so where did I leave off? It was Mark, and Mark is in Chicago, and so he's getting down into the chilly. Well, we're in the hot enough where I have to run the air conditioner. Actually, that's a good question. Do you hear the air conditioner right now? Because I haven't run the air conditioner since I changed the microphones to, you know what they call a headset mic? This is called an ear set mic. So I have goofotches hooked onto my ear on this side and another one on this side, kind of like glasses but in reverse. All right, and the wire goes down my back, down to my butt. Okay, then I have it coming around my waist to the front. Oops. And then I have a XLR cable plugged in, which is the blue cable that I have sitting here. All right. Now there's a mic that comes here, and it's right in my face, so it actually lowers down all the noise, and you hardly hear anything. I hope Roy's in here, because I'm having his iced coffee, and he's going to be jelly. He's going to be jelly, jelly, jelly. That stands for jealous. Oh, speaking of Roy, he's next on the list. Good day. Audio is great. Peter is great. Do I look good? Never mind the audio. So that's ego. Okay. Thank you. So the audio does sound good. Roy was the first one when I said I needed help, because tomorrow is the day where they're, so it might have happened this evening, okay, where Ecamm pulled out the money to pay for Ecamm for the whole year, and I was short. I didn't have enough money, okay. So I wasn't too scared, because I'm going to put a couple of lenses up on for sale on Facebook. So I put out the help. If you want to help, now's a good time to donate. I put everything in the description below. I even found out I do have CashApp. Can you believe it? I have Buy Me a Coffee. Can you believe it? I didn't even know I had that. I went to make a new account on Buy Me a Coffee, and it says, oh no, that email is taken. What? So I listed them all, and it's basically for donations. People like to support you. Other people go like, no, I want everything free. You sit there at work and make it free for me. Okay. And then there's others that go, no, I want to support you. I like what you're doing. So I just put it in the description. And Roy was the first one, and it had to be hard for him to do it, because I did not put my PayPal connection in the description. I'm asking, come on guys, I need help to pay for Ecamm. All right, so it got paid. You could settle down. If you're twitching in your seat, oh damn, he's asking for money again. No, I don't do that very often. You guys know that, okay? So it got paid. Thank you to who stepped in to help me get over the line. The money is sitting there because I use my debit card, and it's waiting for them to suck it right out of the bank account. Boy, I hate that. Okay, so Roy was the first one to step up and help on that, and you guys that did donate and did step in to help, thank you very much. Shows that you will help me. If I get into a hole, you got my back. So thank you to those that did it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. So thank you. So Roy, a special, because you were first, I give you I know what I'll give you. I'll give you a sip of my coffee. And I wrote a little email to everybody that stepped in to give a donation. I wrote a little email thanking you specifically from me. So, Roy, since you're up at center, okay, you got the floor. You got an email of whatever email I had there. I think it was something at Hotmail or something like that. And everybody else who donated to help get me over the trouble spot, okay, I give you great thanks and love. And love to you, Roy. Mark, did I say I love you? You were the one right before? Yes. And David is here. Is this a show about the ZR or shot on the ZR? Well, that's a good question, and I'll tell you why. Because we're looking at the ZR. So I'm not sure, but I think I'll have to go look, David, because I don't remember how I titled it. I think I titled it something like Nikon ZR 4K live stream. So that's exactly what we got. We got a Nikon ZR 4K live stream. So this live stream is going out in 4K. You guys can double check it. Hit your little gear, okay, on whatever you're looking at, and you'll be able to see the quality that you're able to go up and down to. You don't have to change it. If it looks good, it looks good. But it should say 2160 as your top choice. That would confirm that Peter did it right, okay? So, love you, David. Thank you for coming in. Solomon, if you're watching this and you haven't done so already, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. Peter gives great information, and he should have 1,000 subs. Gosh, Solomon, thank you, buddy. I sure do love you for saying that. And by the way, if you're here and you're not subscribed, okay, you know, when you go out for dinner and you order and your food comes back and everything is great and you finish your dinner and then you have ice cream at the end of the dinner, ice cream, when you hit subscribe, that's like the ice cream. That's like having the ice cream at the end of the dinner. So you deserve ice cream. So hit the ice cream button. That's the subscribe button. Okay. I like that analogy. I'll have to work on that and make it even better. So thank you, Solomon. Love you, buddy. That Roy coffee is fantastic. If you're in Australia, it's the Roy coffee. If you're in America, it's the Randy coffee. Frappe mocha. Bokeh Bashudo. Hi, Peter. Hi, everybody listening on the drive home from work. This man, first of all, his name is Carlos, okay? A hard-working man. More than hard-working. He is I don't know what the actual correct title, but I'm going to say psychologist, professional, licensed, insured. He's got surgery tools. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. Therapist. He's where you go when you got problems and you need to talk them out. Okay. So I had a dream last night and you were in it, believe it or not, Carlos. All right. So I don't want to say a bad experience because it turned out really good many, many years ago, but it impacted me very, very heavily. So I make friends from all over the world, actually. All right. And a lot of you guys actually have a direct contact to me. We talk on the phone and we text, we email, we do FaceTime. So I actually connect with many of you much more than you would think. All right. So many, many years ago, one of those contacts connected up with me in the middle of the night, and it was one of the worst things you could possibly imagine. How do I say this? No, I'm not emotional. It's a happy thing, like I said. But I dreamt about it. It's so embedded, and I kept saying to myself in my dream, I only have one phone line. How can I get Carlos on the line? So this young man, I mentor a lot of young guys. I try to stay with guys, okay, but I won't turn down a lady, but I try to stay with guys because as a person that was in the ministry with the youth pastor and stuff, you learn to stay within your own sex because that's where things can happen where you get accused of and stuff. Although today, a guy's a guy today, and he could be a girl tomorrow. Put a pink carnation, well, you can't do that, that's in the song, a pink handkerchief and say you're a girl, and boom. Okay, so now I'm going to have to get pictures before I talk to people and make sure they haven't identified as a dog or a cat or a garbage truck. Some people can say, I am a garbage truck. Yes, I'm making fun because it's ridiculous. You're either born with a dick or you don't, or you haven't. Okay, so it's either the injector or the injectee. It's either a male or a female, okay? And I don't go with the what I feel like today crowd. I know that crowd's out there. I'm not going to disrespect them, but you certainly are not going to shove anything down my throat. All right, I'm a Christian, and I'm held accountable because of who I am, and that includes my sexuality. All right, not only my hospitality with people and generosity, and whether I love people or don't, whether I'm compassionate or not, I'm also responsible for the reproductive part of my body and everything that it entails, which would include, partially include the desires. Okay, so that is basically how I arrived at, and here's where I get shot down. So if you're the kind of guy that shoots people down, get ready to shoot me down. But this is how I arrived at the fact that if you are gay, it's your desires. It's got nothing to do with the equipment down there. It's where your desires are headed. And if some people believe that you could change the direction of the desires, I don't. Whatever gets you aroused, like it was a psychiatrist, but I don't think it was Carlos, said, what is your arousal algorithm? Like the camera has an algorithm, it's going to follow its algorithm. It's built in, it's programmed, it's running that way. So what gets you, quote unquote, aroused, okay, that's your algorithm. So if you're aroused with a certain type of equipment, that's the way you are. All right, so now you have to deal with the scriptures that where it says God hates homosexuality, and in the Old Testament it got Leviticus where a man shall not lie with another man. Then you got that in Romans with Paul, and you have to deal with that and come to some kind of conclusion. Now, because I deal with so many, not so many, it's not more than 15, okay? So it's not like I have a church, okay? I deal with a lot of young men, and there's 3 of them, if not 4, that have that problem. And we go through it, and usually they they feel sorry. They're sad. They think God doesn't like them because that's what the church preaches. God hates homosexuality. Many preachers will translate that into God hates you if you're a homosexual. And I don't believe that, and I don't believe the Bible says that. And I'm not molding the Bible to do and say what I want it to do and say. I really need answers because I feel guilty if I send somebody or give somebody the wrong information. Okay? So I have done it. I went to Bible college when I was in my late teens, 20s. All right? I went to Miami Christian College. So I learned how to do apologetics, exegesis, how you take a scripture apart. I'm also Greek. I could speak to you in Greek. I can't really read or write Greek, but my grandmother and grandfather, they were no English. It was all in itane, ola elinika. Then catalavena metipota inglesica. So I was just talking to you in Greek. So I can have a good conversation in Greek. And when I see the words in Greek, I get the flavor of what was written. Okay? So I just went through an argument yesterday. And it has nothing to do with the topic that we're on. It has to do with the topic of the rapture. Okay? And when I told them, when I read the Greek, the same word to snatch away, where Jesus said it here, is the same exact word in another spot where Jesus said, I will come and receive you unto me. Okay? Well, the word there is to snatch you unto me. And in the other part of the New Testament, where it says that Jesus will come in the twinkling of an eye, snatched, same word. Okay? So this guy, I really put some real good questions in his head. Okay? You'll find that the Christians like to argue about everything because they know a verse. It's like, bam, let's go. Wait a minute, let's do this right. Okay, I know some verses, so let's have it out, okay? Dang, this is the faith of love. And this guy was clobbering me with every kind of scripture he can clobber me with. And again, it's people can just take the Bible and take a knife and just cut it up the way they want. I do not want that to be misunderstood with the fact that, hey, Peter thinks he knows everything. Oh, no. No, not even close, okay? So anyway, this all started with me dreaming about Carlos. So I was on the phone. It was a suicide call. And this person was in another state. I had no idea where they were. I had nobody to call. I had no help. So it was like I was on an island. And for some reason, I redreamed it last night. So we were on the phone 15 hours. And that's when I had not the cell phones, to show you how many years ago. Remember the Panasonics or whatever they had that it was like 2.8? And when the battery goes, it starts to go, it goes beep, beep, beep. Well, I had 3 of those. So I kept revolving those phones. And at the end, the guy received Christ. And he's like a son to me today, okay? He's in another state. He was in California at the time, all right? So it was, I don't have the skills to handle something like that. So I was sweating bullets. But the person did not pull the trigger, okay? Got him to put the gun down, first thing. So you can understand why I was sweating like a pig. I don't have the skills to handle that. What if I heard a gunshot? I wouldn't even be able to call anybody, okay? Because I don't know the address. And so in this dream, Carlos, I was thinking like, where's Carlos when I need him? I need help. I don't know what to say to this kid, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, Carlos, see how much of an impression you make is on people that you don't even realize that you make a lot of impression. So, each and every one of you make impressions first on me. That's why I'm here. All right. We haven't grown. Look at the number of subscribers. We just got over 500. Thank you very much to you guys that have subscribed lately. Okay. You get Carlos. He's got 10, 15,000 subscribers. And I tried to push him into starting a channel, okay? And you other guys that have started channels, you far surpass me, which means I really suck at what I'm doing. But I come here because my friends are here, and you guys are my friends. So I do appreciate that. And Roy, crop is still a 4-letter word. Crop is a 4-letter word. So I'll give you a hint. It's better to go to 1.5 crop in the camera because your pixel sizes stay the same. If you take it and you enlarge it in your software, you're enlarging pixel by pixel by pixel. Now, if you choose to do that in your software after you've taken the picture in crop mode, that's on you, okay? But your best quality is going to come when you do things straight out of the camera. So this camera is full frame. It's got a full, ZR. Look in the upper right-hand corner. Wrong way, that way. Okay. The ZR is at full frame. Yes, I have tried the red profile. And for people that know how to use it, this is the only place you can get it at this price, is in the Nikon ZR. So you can put it in, if you're going to record something and you want to use the red profiles and LUTs and all that, yeah, come and get it, dinner bell. This is where you get it. It would be in the Nikon ZR. So what would I say is a negative thing on the Nikon ZR? So let me think about it. Okay, my number one negative on the Nikon ZR is the Nikon ZR in the video mode is so focused on their red profiles. Because remember, Nikon bought the red camera company. So you know the red cameras where they're like $6,000, $15,000, $25,000, okay? And they go even higher than that, and then you cage them up and they become $50,000. So they're used as a competitor to like the Arri Alexa, okay, which is even higher price cameras. So they have LUTs, they have their own profiles, they have what they call their look, okay. We would say their look, but it's really their profile, how they interpret the red skin tones and other skin tones. So I have learned through playing with this camera that they will bring you to a flat profile, but the skin flesh colors, which is not red, okay, I would say the skin flesh color for the white people is more orange, but it still applies if you're shooting with a black skin, white skin, Asian skin. They still have done something in their algorithm where it punches the flesh up just a little bit. They can't make it a lot because when you add a LUT to it, okay, you're going to bring all the colors and bring them back to life. And I think just a few shows ago I showed, maybe I didn't. I'll have to go back and see. I know that I went through it with Randy, okay, and we went on the phone. But basically how you use the scopes and it's a compressed image and you raise the highlights and you pull down the shadows, and then what you have in the middle, ding, 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 okay, is the midtones, okay. Now, for some reason, the red camera is going to give you a prettier midtone. And guess where the face lives? Right there. The face lives right there in the midtones. So the red profile is good. It's heavy. If you record in that, you're going to get a very, very big file. Okay, so what do you mean by a big file? So if I was going to record on this camera, or let's say on this camera, because I'm about to tell you what I don't like about the ZR. Okay, so let's say I'm going to record in H.265. On this, I would probably get a 30 megabyte file. Usually what your megapixels are, at about 10 minutes or under, you're going to get about that size file in gigabytes. So it would be a 33 gigabyte file. Now, if I were to shoot the same thing on the camera you're looking at me through right now, it would be something like 300, 400, 500 gigabytes. You would not be able to fit it. That's why they have CF Express cards, because it's just too much data. And that's why it's got the very powerful processors because you're running a lot of data through your processors. All right, so what I don't like about the ZR is if you choose not to use the red profile or the Nikon log. Each of the cameras have logs, so Sony has S-Log, S-Log 3, does that ring a bell? Canon, C-Log, C-Log 2, C-Log 3, does that ring a bell? Nikon has Z-Log, okay? So these are heavy, very large size files. So if you choose not to do that, and you're just going to your brother's house, your nephew's house, your somebody that's a relative's house, and you decide to use a very good codec, H.265, it's a wonderful codec, okay? Codec is the, what would it be? The settings that the camera uses to record all these colors and the compression that it does to give you the final file on the silver platter. Here you go, Peter. Here's your file, okay? It will not shoot in anything above 8-bit. That is a critical oops, okay? I don't think the majority of the people that buy the ZR camera are buying it because it's got the red profile. They'll accept it and they want it because it's available. Like if I buy a car and they're giving me 4 tires, I'm not going to say I only need 3. I want the 4th damn tire. The car needs 4 tires to complete it. Okay. Well, this particular camera that we're looking at live through 4K, okay, is, first of all, it's set up in the standard profile, like we just went through a little while ago. So I am set up in the standard profile. Now, if I choose to do a recording, I want to use the H.265, or if I'm old-fashioned, I might want to use H.264. Okay, but H.265, boy, does that trip up my mouth. It's got to be the rum in the coffee. I didn't put rum in the coffee. I didn't put anything bad in the coffee. Okay. Well, yes, I did. I put a teaspoon of chocolate powder in with my 2 teaspoons of instant coffee. And a little shot of heavy cream and a scoop of my protein, vanilla protein. And let me tell you, that thing tastes so good. I'd go and buy one. Like Randy goes out and buys the frappe mochas. So the ZR is missing H.265, H.264, 8-bit. 8-bit is not really acceptable because the file is just not good enough anymore. And you need to be at 10-bit to get the full color gamuts and the quality of it, and your file is not thick. Like I made this protein shake. Okay, I'm sorry. I made this iced coffee. And if I didn't make it exactly the way I know how, it would taste like water in the thickness. It needs to have a little body to it. Well, that's what's missing in an 8-bit file. The colors are there, but they're thin. And why, like this camera, the A7 IV, and all its predecessors, even an H.264, when I was back at the A7 Mark III, 10-bit. Okay, so you need the 10-bit. I'm not sure on the H.26 on the A7 III if when they moved over to 10-bit or added it as an option. I know the A7 Mark IV is got the ability to shoot 10-bit. So it does not have 10-bit on the most basic profiles that you would use. Okay? And that is a shame. And then the other thing, it's not a deal breaker. So the first one is a deal breaker. If I didn't already purchase the camera or own it, all right, I would say no 10-bit and H.265. I better check that out. What were they thinking? Okay. So I'd have to look and see if the Z6 Mark III, maybe if Randy's here, he could tell me, because I no longer have the Z6 III here. I sold it, so, and got the Z R. So that is the biggest fumble on the football field. The other one is a camera at this price and at this high quality level. It doesn't give me a full-size HDMI plug. That is that borders on the crazy choice, okay? Because if you're going to record, you're going to run it out through the HDMI plug. So it should have the full size. Why the little bitty one? They're so fragile, they break. You know, just look at them wrong and they break. Hi, David. Love you. Thank you for being here. I have a ZR and a Milvis 1.4. That would be, is Milvis made by Zeiss? I think it is. So if that's what you have, then you know you're getting a really damn good picture, okay? Because the better you feed these cameras with the better lenses and the better lenses and the better, even better, best lens, they will actually give you a reward, and that is a better picture. So Jim is here, and he says, good evening, Peter. Happy Friday. Hi, gang. Hi, Jim. Love you, buddy. Thank you for the wild turns we took this week while you were busy. And Jim was kind of like the guy in the Wizard of Oz. He was doing the levers and rolling the wheels and trying to talk to me at the same time. I felt bad, but he stayed. He stayed with me. Thank you. So David says he shoots RAW 90% of the time. So you're using the... do I have it? Yes, I do, but I can't reach it. It's on my desk. The CF Express card. You're obviously not doing it on the SD card. Actually, I should ask you, are you shooting your RAW, David, on the CF Express card internally, or are you pumping it out to an external hard drive via the HDMI? And I was talking Greek. Sazisas. Greetings from Kozani. Gosh, I don't know where that is. That's a new one. Would it be near Kekira? Would it be near in that segment? But they're in Greece. Kalispera. Yasu, ketapidiasu. Posiste popse. Love you. Thank you for coming in and saying hi. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. And every time you say hi, I'll say Yasu. Kopiaste ketapidiasu. I met a Greek priest in Louisiana, and I was a kid. Let's start with that part. I was a kid, okay? So this way you don't slap me for what I said. And he was French, but he spoke Greek and did the liturgy in Greek. So I was flabbergasted. I mean, I'm, 14, 15 years old? I'm not used to seeing something like a Greek priest that speaks French. So the priest, we went up to get the andidero and stuff like that. And, you know, they pat you on the head sometimes, and it's like, how nice. So he said, Peter, do you speak French? I said, Malista, Father. Comment allez-vous? Tapodia savremu. I'm not even going to interpret that for you guys, because it wasn't a nice thing to say. Yeah, I'll tell you, okay? So, comment allez-vous in French is, how do you do? Okay? And tapodia savremu, I was trying to rhyme it. Okay? So, comment allez-vous? Tapodia savremu. Well, you know, tapodia savremu means your feet stink. So I said, yes, Father, I speak Greek. How are you? Your feet stink. And my father gave me one like that on the side of the head. And the priest cracked up laughing. So thank God he wasn't insulting. Maybe if I was an adult, it would have come across differently. But since I was a kid and he knew I was a kid, it didn't come across as insulting. Now that I say it, I crack up laughing. I can't imagine what the priest thought when he heard somebody say that. I mean, that is about one of the stupidest things I've ever said in my life. So I'm 72 years old. That would be near the top, okay? So he says it's in northern Greece. Oh, you were anticipating my question. Mm-hmm. And now Randy is getting Greek. There's the Parthenon. Tu andra tu polavari mi tu mila teto proi mi tu mila teto proi tu andra su polavari pa-pam ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-bum. Then the song takes off. Yeah, I can sing in Greek too. I should tell you that. When I was late teen and mid-20s, up to mid-20s, I played the bouzouki, and I was in the Goya, senior Goya they had at that time. They screwed that all up. They did away with the senior Goya and came out just as bad as the Americans do. High school and junior high, everybody's happy. Elementary school is the first tier. So they changed it to middle school. Middle school, we would play monkey in the middle, okay? The middle is not where you want it to be. So we had the senior Goya and the junior Goya, and then whatever they called the little toddlers. And then they did away with the senior Goya. They just changed it to Goya, and then they went to adult blah, 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 blah. I mean, seriously, you were proud to be in the senior Goya. Oh, for those of you that are not Greek, these are the youth organizations within the Greek church. So you pick the church that you go to, think of the youth ministry, and some of you just have grades, K through 12, and some of you have for, it isn't for the Sunday school, it's for the socialization, when you socialize, and what the groups were called. That's what I'm referring to right here. So I played bouzouki, and I was one of the two singers. Me and my girlfriend was the other singer. We were going to get married. I'm getting married in the morning. Da 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 da. So Roy says the ZR is a fantastic vlogging camera. Oh, Roy, your buddy's not in here. Where is James? I don't see the kibitzing, the talking back and forth between you and James. Maybe it's coming down because I keep going. The ZR is a fantastic value vlogging camera, but I'm still not. Oh, Roy, put a smile on that handsome face. You want your wife to marry you, don't you? David says, "Hi, Peter. All happy. Thank God it's Friday. We're looking at quite a bit of gear here. Like everybody, we all have certain leanings. Yeah, that's true. For one system to another. Can you discuss your top 5 bodies and the top 5 lens? Oh, you're talking camera bodies, because I was going to say Sally and Sharon and Mary. You said my top 5 bodies and top 5 lenses. Well, let's not go to top 5. That's too many, and I'm not going to make this very, very long. So what camera do I grab to shoot? Okay. Now, I want to say this before I say that. I sound like Victor Borga. I want to say this before I say that, because if I say that before I say this, you might think that this was that and that was this. Okay? So if you've never seen or don't know who Victor Borga was, that won't make any sense to you at all. So the first thing I want to say is I love cameras. There's a difference between the love of photography, the love of videography, which are neck and neck, okay? Because they're both capturing, all right? But I also love cameras. So you have photography, and then you have cameratography. I could just sit and look at the camera for hours. This lens just appeals to me. Look at this. Let me show you something real quick, okay? Oh, Peter, can't you stay on topic? No, I can't. Haven't you gotten that yet? I can't stay at a damn topic to save my life. All right, so let's go to the overhead camera. So this is new in here. All right, this is the 40 millimeter f2.5. My finger's covering it. G lens from Sony. So that's what the lens looks like, and this is the lens cap. So far, if I get it in the frame, so far so good, right? Is that bright enough? This looks like it's a little dark to me. Let's see what happens if I do that brightness trick. We'll bring that up. It didn't change it much. All right, but anyway, the point is I want you to see that it's the 40 millimeter. We are at, what zoom are we at on here? I can zoom it in. There we go. All right, so if I centerize it. All right, so this is the 40 millimeter 2.5 G lens. See where my finger is? Right in there? You could see that writing right there. And this is the lens cap. Oh, it's on. This is the lens cap. Just like that. Okay. Now, watch this trick. The lens actually ends here. This is a lens hood. I could turn this, take this off. There's your lens. Isn't that amazing? Look how small that lens is. And if you take the lens cap off, Randy taught me this, you could put the lens cap right on there like that. You don't have to have the hood on there at all. But I just think it looks so cool with the hood on, and it locks in place too. Click, locked in place. So when you look at it up close, it's like a well in there. It's like a swimming pool. I can put my finger in there and not touch the lens. Okay? That's how deep the well is. The well is actually that deep. Okay? Because that is the front of the lens. Now, Randy seems to like to take this off at night. I will have to test that and see what happens. But all I have to do is put that on and take it off, and the lens hood is built into that. And I just think that is the coolest thing since sliced bread. And I think Randy said that there's two lenses that do that. I think he said the 35 millimeter Sony will do that. So my favorite camera doesn't mean I will be disliking another camera. So I want to make that clear. Okay? And the camera that I seem to go towards is the Sony, which is ironic because the camera that I hated the most was the Sony. I would say 10, 15 years ago. My favorite cameras were Canon bodies and Nikon bodies. And when I was active as a professional photographer, I would say I shot mostly either the Canons, 35 millimeter film, but most of the time I was shooting medium format film, so I was using what they call twin lens reflexes, and my main camera was a Rollei SL66, and my mother had the Hasselblad. Okay, so we used to like to compete just like you do today. I got a Nikon, I got a Sony, I got this. Okay, so I would tell her my camera's better than your camera, my camera's better than yours. So anyway, I didn't like the Sonys because it felt like I was shooting with a computer. It didn't feel like a camera. It's like this damn thing is a computer. It's not a camera. I want the feel of a camera. And let me tell you something. As much as I've had sword crossings with Canon, they make a damn good camera. And so does Nikon. Nikons at that time were handmade. They made it a table of 4. So I would be sitting across from another person. And then next to me would be sitting another person, and across from them would be the 4th person. So the camera would start with one of the people, and they would assemble it to a certain point, and then pass it on. And then I wasn't there, I'm using me as an example, this person that was sitting here would assemble it to whatever they were going to do to the camera, and then it would be put there, and the guy across the table would take the camera. And then when he assembled what he was to put together, it would go to the next person to his left, okay, and he would finalize the construction. And for years, that's the way the Nikon cameras were made. It was 4 people table, pods, whatever you want to call them. It would start at person 1, go around, and by the time you got to the 4th person, the camera was built. It was constructed. So it was what you would call today a tank. They were so solid. And then as time went on, we went, and Sony started to intrigue me, and I bought a Nikon Z6, okay? Here's the irony, all right? So if I turn the Nikon Z6 on, it's still here. The camera is still here. You're looking at a Sony, but we're broadcasting through the original Nikon Z6. It's on the ceiling. I have it mounted on the ceiling, and it's shooting straight down with an 85 millimeter lens. And it's actually still active, still gives one hell of a great picture, okay? So I went with the Canons. Here's my camera history. I started with film, Hasselblads, Rolleiflexes, Minolta twin lens reflex. Those of you that where I'm saying words that you don't understand, it's okay. Okay, so those were, if you ever watched the Lucy show, and she and Fred and Ethel and Ricky and Lucy went into the Alps, and they went skiing, and they met Lorenzo Lamas there. Okay, well, the camera that they had around Ethel's neck was a twin lens reflex. When you look at the camera, it looks like it's got 2 lenses on the front. So when you look down, it has a mirror in it, and it would look through the top lens. But when you take the picture, the bottom lens is what took the picture. So they're called 2 lenses, or twin lens reflex, meaning it was reflecting out the front with a mirror in it. And when you got your 35 millimeter cameras, they were called DSLRs, digital single lens. What do you think the R4 was? The digital single lens reflex. Reflex merely means it has a mirror. That's what reflex means. It has a mirror. Not that the mirror goes up or down. It just means that the camera, you're viewing it through a mirror. Okay? If you were looking through its own lens, but there was no mirror involved, that was called a rangefinder camera. And then today we have what is called a mirrorless. They took the mirror away. It actually is using the sensor that's in the camera is attached to something where it's broadcasting to the top, and that would be an EVF. Now, some cameras, I do not have one without an EVF. Woo, that's unusual, because most of them don't have EVFs. Darn. Caught with my pants down here, huh? Anyway, they became mirrorless, and you looked only at the LCD screen. Okay? So the film cameras eventually evolved into digital cameras, and the first one that I had bought was a Canon D30. And I was so pleased with it, and I was so disappointed because it was a few years later that I found out that the most expensive, $3,000, if not higher, okay? It was basically a Rebel. They used the Rebel body to build the D30 on. What the heck? Okay? What a slap in the wallet. I was going to say slap in the face. So I went through the D30, then I bought the D60, then I bought the 10D, 20D, 30D, 40D. Somewhere in there I added the 1D. It became my main wedding camera. And then from the 1D, they had the 1D Mark II. I had 2 of those. Then we made it to the 1D Mark III. Bam! All hell broke loose. It didn't focus properly. There was a very, very famous guy on the internet called Rob Galbraith. Rob. Hey, Rob. How you doing? Rob Galbraith. Okay. So Rob discovered that the 1D Mark III was not focusing properly. And it went bananas. When I say it, the marketplace. Me. I was the buyer of the 1D Mark III. Okay. So it was so serious, and Canon, it was so intense. I'm paying attention to the problem. They sent their engineers from Japan. The actual engineers of the camera flew to America. They went out in the afternoon or whatever number of days, and Rob Galbraith showed them where it was doing what. Okay? So I got a little flustered. And at that time, I had become very, very close friends with a camera store. I'm in Miami. I made close friends with a camera store in California called Canuga Camera. Okay? So I had bought the 1D Mark III from him, and he takes good care of me. So doesn't matter whose name was on the list. This sounds bad, okay? I would be at the head of the list. All I have to say is I want one, the next camera that came through, because at that time, when the cameras came in, there was a huge backlog of people wanting them. And it wasn't like it is today, where you normally don't have to wait. You do sometimes, okay? But most of the time, when the camera hits the street, B&H sends it out the door. They get enough of them. So actually back then, Canon had districts, and every state was in a district, and B&H camera was and still is its own district. You have representatives for Florida, where I'm at. You had representatives for the Midwest, California, the East, upper states, and you have a representative strictly for B&H camera. That is who moved the most amount of cameras. All right, so the guy called me that owned Canuga Camera. His name is Chris, and I don't even know if the man is still alive. He was up in age at that time. And he says, Peter, I know they got problems with that camera, and I know you've had it for a year. And he says, I'll tell you what. If you, I can make a deal with you, okay? So this is when Nikon came and kicked Canon in the nuts, okay? Canon was the only one at that time that had the CMOS sensor. Nikon was still struggling with the CCD sensors. Roy, I know you like that, okay? So, but when you got at ISO 800, after that, even at ISO 800, it was starting to fall apart. The picture, the quality, and then over ISO 800, it just fell apart completely. Unbelievably, terribly, okay? Then at a camera show, Nikon introduced the D3, and it had the first CMOS type sensor outside of the Canon cameras, okay? And I was very friendly with the Canon people at that time. So I spoke with them on the phone, and I said, you know, Nikon came out with a CMOS camera, the D3, which matches my 1D, Mark III. And they were going, we were watching. We were sitting at the edge of our seat watching. We're so glad that's all they announced, because this is going to be a handful. So this is direct, okay? This is not secondhand information. So, they clobbered Canon by coming out with an actual competitor. It would be the equivalent today of, you've got Tesla. Tesla owns the full self-driving arena in the USA. If somebody came out that would equal Tesla with the full self-driving, it would be a kick in the nuts to Tesla right now in the USA. Now, from what I understand, they do have a competitor in China, but it doesn't leave China. You can't get one here, okay? because Tesla has pissed me off lately. And if somebody else had the full self-driving, because at my age, I like the fact that it's got 9 cameras and I only have 2 eyes. Thank God. Thank you, Jesus, for the 2 eyes. Okay, I do count my blessings. And thank you, I could see pretty good. But at night, okay, the headlights, they do a little bouncing in here and they give me glare from the inside. And it makes it difficult to drive at night. So I would feel much safer of not having to process if somebody's going to pass the red light or if somebody's going to pass a stop sign and T-bone me. So I want the full self-driving more than I want the Tesla. Okay? If it was on a Ford or a Cadillac or something else and I had a choice, okay, the way Tesla is treating its customers and the level of respect and the value that they see their customers with, I don't like that. I like to be seen as something very valuable. So I'm going to spend. How much money are you going to spend when you buy a car like that? A lot of money. So I have one in with the Lord that I want a Tesla. Okay? Because I need that full self-driving to drive safer. Do you know, I backed into a telephone pole with my car. It was at night. And the glare, I knew it was right in front of the house. I knew the pole was there. The pole has been there for 50 years. And I'm backing up and it's like, boom, like what the hell was that? Who moved that telephone pole? Well, the car would have seen it because it's got 9 eyes and I have 2. And it's got a computer that's always operating at full speed. In my mind, it'll get a little, so what? So the guy offered me, he says, if you give me the 1D Mark III, I'll give you a brand new Nikon D3. I've got whatever the inner workings were. So I changed my 1D Mark III and I got the Nikon D3. And I shot many, many weddings with the Nikon D3. And when Nikon came out with the D3X, shabing, shaboom, shabam, whatever the saying is, bada boom, bada bing, okay, I moved into the D3X, okay? And then up until the last wedding I did before I retired, because I got back into Canon also, okay? They came out to the 1D Mark IV, 1DX, 1DX Mark II. So yes, I was shooting quite a few weddings and the equipment was very important. So I had those and I moved over, and the camera that I enjoyed the most was a D800 with the letter E for elephant at the end of it. And that's because they took out the anti-alias filter from the inside, which gave me a sharper image, and I was all hipped up about that, okay? So the last weddings that I shot, I believe, was on a D800E, or a couple of those. And I would use different bodies during the night. Now, today, the camera that I gyrate towards, the camera that I would gyrate to would be the Nikon. All honesty, it would be the Nikon, except that it fails me in the image stabilization department, which for you might not cause that problem. For me, it does. So Sony isn't much better, and actually most of the time they suck at stabilization. But they will write the gyro data as you're shooting. The gyro data is when you're shooting, if you wiggle when you walk, when you wiggle when you walk, and that kind of stuff. It records all those movements in with your file. That's called the gyro data. And most of the new Sony cameras, let's say for the last 5 years or so, includes the gyro data. Even the little tiny pocket one that I could put down in here does it. So you just turn off the image stabilization. You run it through software, free software called GyroFlow, and it gives it back to you 10-bit ProRes, okay, any level that you want, all the way up to 444, all the way down to proxy. I use proxy, okay, because this is all for myself. And it gives me like I shot it on a gimbal. Now that is worth the weight in gold for me. Now, Canon has caught up with that, or caught on to that, and the new R6 Mark III is recording gyro data. the new C50 and the new C70 and the new C80 is recording the gyro data. Meaning if you just want to use the in-body stabilization, fine, no problems. But they give me the choice. If I don't want to use the in-body stabilization, I'll put all the clips into that software, it queues them up, spits them out. It takes as long as it took for you to record it, okay? That's the truth. But you can go for dinner, you can go sit on the toilet and read your magazines, you can do whatever you want, and it'll just bang, 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 shoot them out. Now, if Nikon allowed me that, I would have been heavily into the Nikon system. I just happen to like the Nikon cameras that much. But they don't. And the Sony cameras have risen to the level where I consider them competing with all the cameras, including Nikon, and even besting them on areas like the autofocus. Now, the Nikon ZR, I'm kind of shocked at how good the focus is on the ZR. That's the camera that you're watching me in now. Let's put the cameras to rotate so you can see more than just the ZR here. I got stuck on the one camera. So I ended up landing in the Sony field, and that's the camera that I would buy and own. There's my A7C Mark II. Okay, so I love that camera, and they come out with the A7C Mark III, and they put in their new, I call it Apple chip, because it combines all the different chips into one lower power, lower heat, winner, winner, chicken dinner. Okay, that'll be, and it's small, and it's full frame. Okay, it's smaller than the ZR. It's about the same size as the E10, the E10 Mark II, but it's a full frame camera. Whoop-de-doo. That's a wonderful thing. So I have landed in the Sony cameras because it gives me what I want. And that's the way you should feel about your camera. So who in here, David, or I think said, I have the ZR and I shoot mostly in camera, the red profile. Now, if his camera is delivering to him what he wants and he's happy with it, winner, winner, chicken dinner. That's the way you do cameras. It's not like I'm rooting for the Dolphins. Oh, no, I'm rooting for the Dallas Cowboys. This is not a sport. The camera needs to deliver to you what you want. That's your favorite camera. Okay, so it's a little on the crazy side that we get into all these sport analogies. And I'll get people that will write in comments, and they'll say, Sony sucks. It's the worst. It's a parts bin camera. What was the point of that comment? You think it's going to affect me? Do you think anybody else is going to read that and do that? You're just acting like a baby when you do that. Give a reason why you like a camera, because then you can be respected. Okay? I respect who said that they like the ZR and they're shooting in red all the time. The guy knows what he wants, and he put his money where his mouth is, and he's getting the results that he wants. Okay? Randy, he's a Nikon man. It doesn't make sense. I'm a Sony man. Yet we're the best of friends. We're like brothers, So, and Jim, another like a brother. He's a Sony man. So you're using the cameras that, Cadillac had a commercial years ago. When you turn on your car, does it return the favor? Does it turn you on in return? Okay, so the camera has to turn you on. So I have a little secret I'll share with you. My lens line that's developed is the Sony lenses. I just got this new 40 millimeter, okay, 40 millimeter f2.5 pancake lens, not quite pancake, excuse me, but really small. All right. So this is an A7V, but I don't own this camera. This is a loaner from B&H, but I do own this camera. And this is my favorite camera at the moment. So this is the FX2. Now, in my eyes, it outdoes the A7 IV. But I would be just as happy with the A7 IV because the basic underlying change between these two cameras, this is where Sony was still, I'm going to use a analogy, okay? I don't mean it in real life, okay? This is where Sony was still with the Intel processor, and this camera, the A7 IV, is when they switched over to their own processor. So the camera on your right, which is the FX2, has 3 processors. They doubled their main processor, and then they added an AI processor. This causes heat. It causes power drainage, but it's all in here, and I still prefer it. So it's got the same focusing abilities as the A7 IV. All right. Now the A7 V doesn't have shutter angle, and this camera does. So what they did is Sony went from kind of like an Intel processor where they were doing things one way. They went to like the M1 processor that Apple did in their work, where they combined all the processors, redesigned them, less power, less heat, no overheating on this, no fan. This one, the FX2, in order to accomplish that, needs the fan. And you can see the fan, the grill's right here on the side. All right. So I had the opportunity to switch this out for the A7 V, but I'll still take this FX2. Now the A7 V has the new processor, but it also, for the first time on a consumer level camera, they've got this new flippy screen, so you can flip down, you can flip up, or you could flip all the way around. It's really nice, I gotta tell you. Okay, so I landed in the Sony. So I would be Sony 1. All right, now I have not, because it's not even out, the R6 Mark III also will tickle me because it's got the ability to give me the gyro data, and that has become important. It's not because of my age. I know how to hold the camera stable. I know how to hold my elbow underneath, okay, and hold the camera stable. I know how to put it up to my forehead so that looking through the eyepiece to keep it stable. It's just a different world when you have the gyro data and you took pictures that we have a new baby, there's going to be a baptism, okay. You darn well know I am going to take, okay, the 5 or the FX2. I'm going to shut off all the stabilization, and anything that I've done, like if I'm standing there because the priest is long-winded and I'm getting tired, my hand is getting shaky, and I won't be able to get close, I'm going to have to put like a 180 millimeter lens on there. Well, the gyro data is going to clean that out for me, okay? So Sony first. Then I like the R6 III only, but if that wasn't available, I would go Nikon second, okay? But here's the big deal. You can't find a bad camera these days. The worst camera that I could think of is made by OM Systems because they charge you right through the nose and don't give you the necessary things that would be a standard item, like a full-size HDMI. Okay, so it's out. But it's micro four thirds, and I don't think very many people in here would go micro four thirds. Okay, so, boy, guys, I have been rambling. What time is it? 11:30. Not too bad. All right, so let me entertain you. Oh, lenses. I go for rather than naming things, I will name some things. I like the 50 millimeter number 1. As if I could only have one lens, it would be the 50 millimeter, and it would be a 1.4. That would be the lens that if I couldn't have any other lens. Then the next two would be one below and one above. 85. They actually call it in the years ago in the wedding industry, they were the triplets. You had a 24 millimeter, a 50 millimeter, an 85 millimeter. And then you had the same thing in your zooms. You had your 24 to 70, 2.8. You had your 16 to 35, 2.8, the L lenses from Canon. The Nikon have the same ones. And then the 70 to 200, which I actually have a 70 to 200 I'm going to put up for sale. It's the mount, it's a G lens, okay, 2.8 VR, all right, the ED lens, okay. They're sharp, sharp, sharp lenses. And those are the triplets on the zoom, 16 to 35, stay on this side, 16 to 35 zoom, f2.8s, 24 to 70, 2.8 zoom, and 70 to 200. And after that, you buy to taste, okay? Now, on the primes, you've got the 3 on there. You've got 24 millimeter, 50 millimeter, 85 millimeter. And then you buy something else that fits in with what you want. So on Canon, the 100 millimeter f2 flat 2.0 is a sleeper lens. It's not an L lens, it's a USM lens, but it's as good as an L lens. But most people would actually buy the 100 millimeter f2.8. Well, the f2 was a sharper lens. The 2.8 was a macro lens, okay? So you start filling in, because once this camera thing gets a hold of you, it ain't gonna let go, okay? Okay, so that was David. Boy, David, you sent me off. So Roy is talking to David. David, there he is. Yeah, FX2 looks like a great camera, especially if you're shooting solo. If you would have told me 5 years ago Sony released their best cinema camera in a point shoot body, probably wouldn't believe you. But don't stop there, David, okay? The key to the FX2 is, remember, I was a photographer way before I got so heavy into videography. So the FX2 is a very advanced video camera. It does anamorphic. It's got shutter angles in it. Does RAW. I mean, it's everything but the kitchen sink. I'm sure it's missing something someplace. I just can't think of where. Oh, yes, I can. 60p is cropped. And people would go like, boo, boo, boo. Well, it doesn't bother me that much. But hey, it's a talking point. All right? But if you can't deliver on the photography side, I spent most of my life as a photographer. So don't be throwing away the photography crap just because you're so much into cinematography. So you get both in the FX2. And guess what? You get almost both in the A7 IV. Now, you also get a real bang for the buck in the ZR. That's why I said it's hard to buy a camera today that's not a good camera. They're all so good. So either you roll the dice, and you're going to buy what the dice deals for you, or you start looking at the cameras and start picking out your favorites. And it's not a sin to do that. You could like what you like, because they're all so good. I could pick any one of them, and if I went back 40 years and I was in the heat of wedding photography, and I did a lot of Greek weddings, and they're hard work. Your equipment's got to be, I kept a second bag always within arm's reach, because you don't get a second chance in a wedding. You either get it or you go home, okay? So, yes, David, you're right. 100% right. David, one for you, buddy. Here's my buddy Hal. How you doing, Hal? Yeah. Hi, Debbie. How you doing? What you doing? It's weekend time. So Hal'll be going out to do his work, and you can get peace and quiet for a change. Debbie is Hal's wife. Nicest person, and I always want to give her a little extra shout out. When Peter asks you for anything, then you know it's important. Yeah, I was behind the 8 ball, and you were the first one, Roy. You get the first mark, because not only were you first, you had to go hunting for that PayPal because I didn't think to put it in. Now tonight they're all in there, and Ecamm is paid, so Everybody can relax, okay? But like I said, I have buy me a coffee, all right? Because Randy was saying, you know, you're not even monetized on here. Well, instead of hitting the super chats, you can hit the description. And if you go like, I like this guy, I want to give him $1. Put $1 in that man's pocket, okay? I got buy me a coffee, which I didn't know I had. I think it was Luis, Mr. Camera Junkie, that got me into buy me a coffee. Okay, so it's because of him, and it's been many years because I haven't listed it in ages, but now it's down there. You want to give me 50 cents or $1 or 1,000 or a Tesla? It's in there. Okay. Then because of Sly, I got CashApp. I haven't opened that in years, but that one was still active. So I put that in there, and then I added the PayPal and the Zelle. So now I am monetized through my own crowd. The heck with YouTube. Anybody wants to donate, hit the what do they call it? The box. They've changed the name so many times. It was even called the doobly-doo for a long time. Okay. So that I have it, and it will be at the top, God willing, for people to donate. So yes. So thank you, Roy. You went above and beyond. You really went out of your way. How many? He had to go over to the other channel and go back a ways to find out how. But you know what? Was the first one that came through. And I said, dang, that Roy, he's amazing. His wife is so lucky to have him. I'm teasing Roy. Love you, buddy. Hey, Jamie, good evening. How you tonight? How are you tonight? So that was King, and we got Roy. I used the other channel, so I was hoping no one would notice. What do you mean use the other channel? Oh, did you come through with the other name? Ah, I didn't even notice. You're right. You're right. Nikon ZR 4K broadcast. He likes it. It should be. Well, all these cameras are set to 4K. Okay, so hopefully they're all putting their best foot forward. And Roy is woof woof. Wash that mouth out, young man. Oops. Did I say shit again? Oh, I'm not supposed to say bad words. Crap. Now, when your own personal psychiatrist is trying to wash out my mouth, I've got something going on. Okay. My reproductive parts think for themselves. Yeah, what did they used to say? What do I tell the young guys today? Don't let the little head think for the big head. Engage your brain, dude, before you take an action. Engage your brain. Not the little head, but the big head. Guys, best thing God ever created next to women, okay? You guys, just friendship is the best thing. My wife is Greek. You know, I didn't know that. I could have to start singing to her in Greek. What's her name? Nasupokati linika sagapo. That was a song just for Roy's wife. Okay, so nobody else knows what I was singing to her. My wife is Greek. I hear Greek every time I'm in trouble. All like Ricky Ricardo. I shoot at maximum resolution and shrink it down later as needed. Well, you know, when you do that, you're actually taking any problems that's in the image and minimize them because you're going down. So if you have artifacts or something, as you shrink it down, it goes down. But when you enlarge it bigger and bigger, it gets accentuated. And that's what's happened. What's wrong with this picture? Did the camera move from when I first started? Boy, this Nikon Tribe, I'm going to have to change the head on there. So Roy says the ZR doesn't have anamorphic or false color. That's two things that he would like it. I still don't like the power button, and the EVF doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know why they would sell a camera with a defective EVF, Roy. They should do a firmware update to fix that. Honestly, you know, you put a camera out and it's now the camera everybody's looking at and the EVF is defective. How do I get rid of this? There we go. Okay. So, Randy, Carla's saying hi to Randy. And the darker the images, then the better the compression. The ZR H.265 seems to compress more than my Z8. That's because you have 10-bit, you've got 422, okay, and you've got a functioning H.265 on your, oh, well, I read it as 265 anyway. Don't worry about that. Hey, Shane is here. Nikon looks good. Now, Shane, that's a man that knows about cameras too. All the way on the other side of the world. Love you, Shane. Thanks for coming in and saying hi. Yeah, I watch you. I watch what you do. I should comment more because then you know. So that's my fault. But anyway, you're going to come visit, right? One day? The ZR seems light as a video camera for great value as a blogging camera. Randy is talking to Roy, but that's funny. Watch what Randy says. Roy, damn you, you have an EVF in that ZR? Yeah, but it's defective. So that's funny. That's an inside joke. The camera doesn't have EV. Scotty says, does the R6 have clean HDMI output? Yes. Oh, the original one. Yes, it does. That's how I did my live shows. It had to be clean. You didn't have a choice. I mean, I didn't have a choice. So if you're not getting clean HDMI, chat GPT, how do I get clean HDMI on the original R6 camera? So yes, it certainly does. It certainly does. If it didn't, I would have never bought it. So Roy is talking to Randy, and they're joking back and forth with each other. Randy says the ZR and the Z6 III have the same codecs, but red is only in the ZR. H.265 are in both. Oh, they're both 422s. And above 422, 10-bit and 12-bit. High Q and above. Okay. So he's setting the record straight. Randy is talking to Roy. Roy is talking to Randy. Roy, how come you and Jamie aren't talking? James, I should say. I already renamed the guy, but he's a nice guy. Randy says, when Peter speaks Greek, it reminds me of watching Zorba the Greek. Ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-da-dum, ba-dum. Opa! Ella na horepsamek. That's the Greek the big fat Greek wedding movie. With that's Zorba the Greek with Anthony Quinn. My big fat Greek wedding cracks me up. I mean, they nailed the Greeks. You got to have the burnt cake, and you put a plant in the middle because it's got a hole in the cake. And we say that when I go to visit my brother on Saturday nights, okay? And my niece comes. She's like, oh my God, can she bake the best things you ever wanted to taste? All right. So somebody like my other brother will say, what is this? What is this? And I'll say, Inekeki more, and she'll start in, and then we all crack up laughing. So, Inekeki more means it's a cake. Like the in the movie, they brought this bundt cake. The groom's mother and father are not Greek, okay? But the bride's family is all Greek, but they're not just Greek, they're Greeky. Very, very, very Greek, okay? So they brought a bundt cake. So a bundt cake has a hole in the middle. So the Greeks, we don't have no cakes that have a hole in the middle. We fill every hole we could find, okay? So one of the grandmothers or the aunt or somebody says, Dinafto, what is this? And she answers, Inekeki more, you know. And the in English is it's a cake, asshole. Okay, so we say that all the time. My big fat Greek wedding is great for a laugh, but it turns us hysterical. And when they show driving up in the driveway and there's a Cadillac in the driveway, so typical Greek. The Greeks have a Cadillac in the driveway. All the front of the house has the columns and the Greek statues. Okay, Aphrodite is over here. Eros είναι εκεί πέρα. And βλέπεις εδώ πέρα έχει μεγάλο fountain. I need to keep this in English, right? Otherwise, I'll lose you guys. Australia has a kindergarten, 6 years of primary, and 6 years of high school before university. And Rakesh is here. How you doing? Love you. Thank you for coming in and not lurking. Why lurk? Seriously. At least annoy the Peter Gregg, right? Say something to piss him off. Or be loving. This is the Christmas room. Jim says, love Victor Borga. Such an amazing and funny guy. Oh, Victor Borga just, oh my God. He had one episode, which I'm sure, 100%, not even 99.9. And I should make it 99.9. In case there's a sliver. If you saw the one where his son was the page turner, Victor Borga plays the piano. Okay? So when he wanted to change the page, he called for someone to come out of the back so that he can play and then he needed somebody because he would stop, he'd lick his finger and turn the page. And send me out a page turner. So the guy that comes out, big, tall, good-looking kid, it's his son in real life. Okay? So the kid comes out, he's got a tie on. So when he wanted to change the page, he tug on the tie and the kid would turn the page. And what was that? Nagi? So only Jim will get that. I'm not going to explain that because it's just going to make a long show longer. Victor Borger plays better piano than I do. His jokes are he was wonderful at comedy, and he was absolutely wonderful at piano. He just hit his groove. We lived the big fat Greek wedding before the film. Ain't that the truth? Then Roy, Milasili Nikal, Gati, Poli, Ligaki, Tipota more? No, don't tell your wife to translate that. So yeah, big fat Greek wedding. So Rakesh is saying hi to Peter. That's be me. I'm Peter. Let me introduce myself. I'm Peter. So Rakesh is saying hi to Peter, Roy, and Randy. So I'm guessing, Rakesh, you watch Jeff also. I'm just a guess. So Randy's talking to Roy, and they're getting into the Greek wedding stuff. Randy is saying, what is he saying? Let's get him up here. Rakesh, it's getting nice down here in Texas, mid-70s, and loving it. So we have our other conversations going out, but I like computers. No, you don't want them in your camera. You want the camera to take the picture. I updated my Intel Macs today, and they were hiccuping. Oh, my God. You know what? You're right. I updated Ecamm about an hour before the show. I was going to say an hour ago. It knocked everything for a loop. I didn't have to reset it up, but it wouldn't read the cameras. So I wound up shutting everything down, unplugging the Sonnet box, which is the box for all the cameras, because the Apple doesn't have where you could put in a card to put. I have 4 4K cameras, so you need an HDMI plug for each one. So I have a box called the Sonnet, Sonnet, and you buy a card which is called a Blackmagic quad recorder card, and you put it in there and you connect it to the Apple. The Apple is a computer, okay? And you plug it in by the, the Thunderbolt, and suddenly I've got 4 live cameras, which is what we're doing here. We've got the Nikon ZR. After the ZR, we'll have a Sony A7C Mark II. After that, we'll go over to the other side, and on this side we have a Lumix S5 Mark II, which it ain't no chopped liver. It's a good camera. And then way up in the sky on a sky hook, we have a Nikon Z6. They're all transmitting in 4K. Catalaveni support. Do you understand what I say to you? They're all running in a 4K. Can you tell the caffeine is kicking in? Okay? I will not be sleeping tonight. I will be doing something, and then I have to come off the ceiling, and then I can go to sleep. Okay? So anyway, when I updated it, I lost all the cameras. I unplugged everything, replugged everything in. I still couldn't get them to work. You know what I got? How I got them to work? Something I would have never thought. So this has to be the Holy Spirit leading me. I went under cameras, and it added a second set of cameras. So I have the Blackmagic 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. But now I had Blackmagic 1, 2, 3, 4, and each one was with the parentheses 1, 2. So instead of 4 cameras, now I'm actually, the computer is seeing 8 cameras. And they're all checked in the switcher. So I had to go in and uncheck so that when you go to cameras and you click in Ecamm, you guys that have Ecamm, you go to cameras at the top. Don't do this if you're using the switcher, okay? But you go to cameras on the top. You go down to the bottom menu in cameras, and it'll show you what is checked for the switcher. And it checked all my cameras, so the computer was confused as hell. So I unchecked them all because I don't switch using a switcher. I use the mouse to speak plain, okay? Until one day when I become a big boy, I'll get one of those where you can change the button. Now, in the meantime, I have set up an algorithm where if you look in the bottom right corner of the screen, down, Peter, there you go. You see that? That is a counter. It's going to stay on the Lumix S5 Mark II until it reaches 0, and then it's going to go automatically without no mouse, no Peter intervention. It's going to switch over to the ZR. And whatever I have that counter set to, when it comes down to the 0, it's going to switch to what? After the Nikon ZR, it's going to switch to the Sony A7C Mark II. Okay, now I have to use the mouse to put up the comments. Okay, that's where I would use you push the button. Okay, so Roy says, I remember the best paid wedding photographers use Bronicas. Oh, but I didn't have a Bronica. I was one of the best paid wedding photographer. My weddings back then were, I don't know, between $6,000 and $12,000 per wedding. But I worked hard, I delivered, and the referrals were very, very high. iMac 5K 2017. Oh, that's the one you updated? Oh, but you don't broadcast from that right now, so that's good. I still have a few Hasselblad 500s. They are expensive again. Hey, if it went up, we're not going into film. It'll be a blip when we go into film, okay? Because then the younger crowd's going, oh, film. What is this? What is this film? This is something new. I must try film. I go buy film camera. I drive the prices up because everybody wants to buy film camera now. You know what? The film doesn't even come close in quality to what the digital cameras deliver. And if you say, oh, but film is so much better, I'm not on the same highway with you, okay? If you enjoy it, no problem. That's when you enjoy it. But for me to shoot a whole wedding, have to pack up the film, everything I shot tonight, and I get home at 2 in the morning, all those rolls of film, I have to put them in an envelope or a box and ship them to a lab. If that box gets lost, the whole wedding is gone. You can keep your frickin' film. I never want to go to a bride and say, they lost all the films. Oh, you lost my wedding. All the pictures are gone. There's no way I could get them back. I will never go to film again. I get the SD card, and the SD card goes in a wallet in my pocket, doesn't even go in the gear bag. Okay? And now you've got the CF Express card. But the point is, it always stays on my body. All right? And I did have where most of my cameras had the dual card slots. So the second card slot, I set it to JPEG medium. The first card slot is the one where it was raw, and I would jockey new whatever I was using, SDs or whatever was going. Even before that was the CF cards, not the Express. Okay, but the second card was a medium level quality JPEG, and before I left the wedding menu or venue, I would take out that card, because you could shoot 3 weddings at medium JPEG with a good size card. Okay, 256 and then 512 gigabytes. I would take it out and I would put it in my sock. Okay, and if somebody even killed me, eventually they would find that SD card and the bride would get her pictures. Okay. So where did I leave? I read Roy, all the best little camera stores seem to have gone away. Yeah, little by little, because they can't compete with the guys that are giving such big discounts. I love visiting B&H. Pity it's in New York. You'd think, well, where else would they have a huge market share? That's where I would open up another shop. And maybe they have one under a different name and we just don't know it. So that's possible. Oh, I knew you liked CCD sensors. Just because you're different. You had to marry a Greek wife. I hate to ask you what kind of dog you have and what kind of camera you have. Everything with Roy is unique. I got my electrical wheelchair. Oh, scooter. But it is not what I was expecting. 0 to 60 in 45 seconds. I like the sensor in the D3 more than the one in D3X. I love them both. And I don't remember them good enough to argue with you. So, yeah, the D3, boy, was that a nice camera. Oh, the D3X had higher megapixels. I think they moved that one up to, 24 megs. And the D3 was a lower one. There's also a gyro add-on for the hot shoe now. Yeah, one day I might get that. Randy's talking to Roy. Roy's talking to Randy. Talk. We can talk. My stabilization for the camera. My stabilization for cameras that do not have gyro is called tripods. Well, hard to shoot a wedding with a tripod unless you want to stick somebody in there, you know what. Roy's talking to Randy. And Brian is here. How you doing, Brian? I'm not sure why YouTube recommended me, but your camera is amazing. Well, first, love you, buddy. This is Peter Gregg. That's me. Where am I? Where are you? There you are. I'm in the Christmas room. 365 days a year since 2008. My set has always been Christmas because it's a peace on earth, goodwill towards men feeling in here. We don't attack, and if we do, I get rid of those, and I love it. And I'm glad you didn't lurk, Brian. You could have sat there all night long and not said hello, but you got the gumption up to come and say hello, so I say thank you. Roy is saying, Brian, don't ever trust YouTube. Well, Brian, if you like and want to visit and you want to know when my next video's up, push the subscribe button. It's like ice cream at the end of a meal. You push the subscribe button. I have Sony, Nikon, Panasonic, Leica, Kodak, Canon, film, DSLR, mirrorless cameras. I even have the Osmo Pocket 3, and that camera has the best the stabilization on that. It looks terrific. Randy, you're doing what they call in modern day kid talk, flexing. In our talk, it's called, hey, I'm showing off. I got them all. And he does. And when he comes to visit me, he brings them all. The camera Santa Claus. Oh, I like that, Brian. If I open up another YouTube channel, the camera Santa Claus. I'm stealing it from you. I'm stealing it from you, Brian. Too bad. You already told me. I could use it now. It's unless you go and start a channel. So that's actually a pretty good name for a channel. Do not like it because of the anti-glare mesh screen. Waiting for the S90F OLED TV. They will oh, did you order that? You were saying you were ordering it. So it's a 65-inch. So, well, when's it coming? When's it coming? Both TVs. When? I want to know. I'm going to call you so I can bother you. I like the glossy screen. Yeah, I always like the anti-glare. For some reason, it dumbs down the screen. I don't know why, but I do think that it's doing that. And 1260, I see, I renamed you. I don't even know your name. What do you think of the GFX 100? Great camera. They have gone down in price, thinking about picking one up. I'm working with a cinema photographer who typically works with 35 millimeter. Feel like it might be interesting. Okay, let's see if he goes on. Up. To experiment with the larger format. So that is a Fuji camera, and it's, medium format. So Fuji goes from crop sensor 1.5 crop. They bypass the full frame, and they go all the way up to medium format. And they've been doing pretty good with those cameras. So yeah, I think you're going to have a good time with that. E.T. Oh, E.T. phone home. I get it now. Here we go. Let me put him back up. E.T. phoned Peter Gregg. Oh my God, I love watching that movie. Every time it's on TV, I love watching it because the end is so feel good. And so E.T. has finally, I kept telling E.T. to call, and he never does. I don't know what his problem is. So now you finally got here, and I'm glad that you got here. E.T. has finally got. Best scene was Gene Wilder trying to get a Coke out of the Coke machine. Oh my God. Those were good movies. I like Young Frankenstein. I like when he, never mind. What is shutter angles? Is it a video thing or stills too? You know, let me see. I'll tell you in a minute. I'll put this over to stills and turn it on. Oh. Helps if you take the lens cap off. No, you get shutter speeds on pictures and shutter angles, which is 180 degree shutter for your videos. So now we both know. Scotty has let the cat out of the bag. So E.T. is talking to Roy. Roy is talking to E.T. Oh, Roy got himself a new friend. Roy is just stubborn. Roy, stubborn? No. My wife is Stella. Stella by starlight. Stella, I see you. How pretty you look. Catala venise linica. Besmurnataxero. Ise ormofi. Ise ormofi. Ise ormofi. Stella sagapo. Sagapo, sagapo. Stella, I'm so sorry you married to Roy. I'm teasing you, Roy. So now I know it's Stella. I sang to his wife. And he can't beat me up. I'm in a different continent. When Peter moves in his chair, he has to reset the picture. Is that what's happening? I can't figure it out. Once my head is up, then my head is down. What the hell is going on? Are we in an earthquake and I don't feel it? So Randy is saying hi back to Carlos. And Roy is talking to E.T. phone home. Roy is talking to Jamie. Jamie, why so quiet? Yeah, Jamie, what's up with you? Did I piss you off? Don't let me piss you off. I piss everybody off, Jamie. Don't let me piss you off. Hey, what is that? No, that's Elvis. I love you, James. Love you, dude. Don't be so quiet, okay? We're going to think something is wrong. When I was 17, it was a very good year. It was a very good year for Greeky Greek girls and their mothers that came along on every date. I'm doing Frank Sinatra again. When I was 17, when I was 21, it was a terrible year. At 21, I had to get baptized before getting married in the Greek church. Yeah, they do that. It's so weird. What can I tell you? Did you have to sit in the pool? That's the best ones. So E.T. phone home is talking to Roy. Jim is, what do you get when you fall in love? What do you do? I call the lights. What do you call them? I call them lights. Wait, I got to figure this one out. I'm not that dumb. What do you do? Let me see. Did I turn the church off? Yes. I call the lights. I call them lights. That's what to make that sentence correct. What do you call them? I don't get it. I got to know what he's talking about. And he'll say it now at the end. Or he went to sleep. What time is it? Yeah, what time is it anyway? Remind me not to have the caffeine when I start the show, an hour before or 2 hours. Roy says, oh, I knew you were going to do this, Roy. I knew you couldn't let it go. You couldn't let it go, okay? You had to do it. It's all Greek to me. Oh, my God, the most cliche thing in the world. And I figured, oh, he didn't do it. Roy, I'm so proud of you. And then it's right there. You see how I got white and blue, Roy? Did you get it, Roy? Hello? White and blue? Now, supolinika, either sine bleh. That's how you say blue. Bleh. Just go bleh. That's blue in Greek. Roy's talking to E.T. My Intel Mini thinks it's attached to the Samsung, upgraded the TV to the Samsung, and with the OS update, broke the sound. Oh, that's not good. And found the solution after 3 hours. Oh, Roy is talking to Randy. Double R's. I feel another update is coming. Reminds me of Windows. Yeah, ain't that the truth? I'm still waiting for slides and negatives to come back from clients in the 70s. Yeah, return it to me and tell me what numbers you want. Right, Roy? The 65-inch Samsung full-frame Pro Mini had to turn off the AI because the color became very saturated. Changed it, and AI put it right back in. I don't care what you want, Randy. I'm sticking the saturation in. Where did I leave off? Oh, Roy. Dog was named King Charles. Roof, 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 roof. Who let the dogs out? Dog passed away recently. Oh, I'm sorry. It went with wife everywhere. It went with Stella. Stella and her fella. Everywhere in her convertible. Better the dog than me. Roy, are you being a good boy? The GF100X and Hasselblad H2 are baby medium formats. Video only. Yeah, and I know what he's talking about. I just don't remember, but I do know. Shutter angle. Bing! See, I'm not forgetting as much as you think. There's my Mookie. I love you, Mookie. Thank you for being here. I have been lurking, but I don't want Peter mad at me. Oh, I wouldn't get mad at you. I love you, dude. Thank you for saying hi. But if you're at work or it's Friday night, maybe you got your best gal out on a Friday night, except that song is Saturday night. Okay. Hi, Mookie. Thank you for being here. It's a reference to Victor Borga, part of the skit with his son. Oh, let me see if I can find it again. Oh, let me start by looking for Jim. Jim, because I think we actually own that. I think my mother thought it was so good that one of us boys bought it for her, and we had it on VHS. Now I can't find it. Oh well. But thank you for letting me know what that was in reference to, because I would have asked you next phone call, what were you talking about? So that was in reference to Victor Borga. Okay, Randy, are you still awake? Give me the closing. We're done. Okay. Actually, I don't need the closing. I remember my lines. Randy has to feed them to me. All right, guys. We had a really nice show. Let's see how long this show has gone. 2 hours and 16 minutes. 14 thumbs up. 15. Somebody just gave it somebody gave it a thumbs down. Guess who's back in town? Oh, wow. We all know who that is, right? Because we talk behind his back and he gives it a thumbs down because that's the only thing he can do. That's all he can do. Okay. So anyway, God willing, for sure, and the bridge isn't up. I will see you next Friday. God willing, and the bridge isn't up. And my goal is the sky and not the grave. Meaning I'm looking for the rapture. Oh, that's who I got into a big argument this week, is somebody on the rapture. They were talking so authoritatively, and it was upsetting some people that don't study the Bible, and they just know that Jesus is coming back. But this guy was telling them a bunch of horse bull, okay? Getting the people, I don't like it when people get scared, okay? You could say what you want, but don't scare the shit out of people. It's just not the way to run an airline, okay? All right, so there's Randy. Peter will have his saying after mine. Stay safe, keep smiling. God willing, and the bridge isn't up. I will see you next Friday, possibly mainly Wednesday at 9, Friday at 10. I don't commit to the Wednesday at 9 because I don't know what I'm doing during the week. So if I get offered a ride to Publix, I'm going. And I won't do the show because I will have somebody to drive me to the until I get my Tesla. Then I can push the button. Whoosh, we go. Okay. So the Model Y. And I've changed colors, Jim. I've changed the silver with the white interior. The red is the prettiest one to me. And I know the black is the prettiest one to you. Okay. And I like the black also. But as I get older, I want to be a little less conspicuous. I want to be more inconspicuous. And that red Model Y, boy, she is gorgeous. It went down the road and I had to turn my head. And I think I've only seen 2 red ones in real life. Wasn't even the new one. Okay. So I decided, oh man, that is a magnet. I don't want a car that's a magnet. Silver blends in. It's got a very pretty silver. It's like a very light liquid silver because I like a shiny car. Okay, so I would have immediately gone to the black, except I'm in Miami and it's so hot here. If you're wearing shorts, the seats will get so hot you'll fry your thighs. The skin will burn. So I get the white. I could get the black with the white, but I think I've gone to silver. I think that is my color of choice. So if God sends the car during the weekend, Lord, you know where I am? I could give you my address if you forgot it. All right. So God willing, and the bridge isn't up, and my goal is the sky and not the grave. And that means I am waiting for the rapture. And I love all of you. You don't have to agree with me, but you do have to be happy and joyful in your heart. If you're not, let me know. I'll try to make you laugh. All right. There we go. Get more tickets for having a red. Oh, I didn't know that. Oops. Well, I skimmed that one, huh? All right. Love you guys. I will see you, as I've said, God willing, and the bridge is not up next Friday, and there's a good possibility for Wednesday. Bye-bye.